Trump elections what followed. So, 2020 is sure to go down in history as one of the most eventful years that humanity has ever had to witness. The COVID-19 pandemic itself wasn't a small news itself, but as we became more and more acclimated, nothing new regarding the pandemic really felt like new. The cycle took its turn around the block and the monotony of life took over once again. But once the fear and terror died down, other things became more visible in the panorama that was for so long taken over wholly by the coronavirus. New pictures began to add to the collage of the events of the notorious 2020. One such event, that happened towards the end of the year, was the US 2020 presidential elections starring Donald J. Trump and Joe Biden going in for the seat. The hype was outrageous, and so were the events that took place on the sidelines all along, but that's a tale for every annual election. And we'd expect that the drama would end there, but as the polling results began to reveal the balance tipping in Biden's favor, we saw Trump call the elections rigged, later following up on his accusations by actually going to challenge the results of certain states. The claims were obviously disregarded due to lack of evidence, but the latest hearing of Michigan state polls showed a witness saying that the polls were rigged, and rather than giving concrete evidence, making statements regarding the voter turnout and poll book, asking the state representative whether he signed an affidavit or not, and alleging the state representatives of taking it, the poll book, and doing something crazy to it. The woman recounted the events that took place at the polling center on the day of the election, mentioning some very bizarre details like calling the FBI, and a fellow manager wanting to have nothing to do with her after knowing that she knew that he, along with everyone, was cheating. In reply to the testimony, State Representative Darren Camilleri read the remarks of Justice Timothy Kenney, which stated that affidavits of no person from the polling center or any government official, Republican or Democrat, substantiated her version of the events. The case was already weak, and adding fuel to the fire regarding her testimony was the fact that she had been charged once in the past for obscenity. Once the hearing was released, the woman was met with serious backlash, with allegations such as her being drunk were made, which is not so unreasonable when viewed in light of how the testimony went and the magnitude and absurdity of her allegation on the whole voting procedure. The mockery and publicity didn't just keep to the news. Before long, the woman was on every late-night television show in one way or the other. Though the testimony couldn't do anything for Trump or the result of the election for the state of Michigan, it did land her a lot of publicity, even if it was for all the wrong reasons. As they say, no publicity is bad publicity. The SNL, Saturday Night Live, you all know the show, see the show and love the show. For those of you who don't know, Saturday Night Live is an American late-night live television sketch comedy and variety show that has been the sweetheart of the American audience and a late-night favorite for those who tune in after a pressing day, looking for some gags, or those who simply want the summary of the latest news in a comic way. The comedy sketches are of a diverse range but focus mainly on the cultural and political aspects and notable day-to-day events. The most captivating aspect of the show is, however, the sheer freshness of concept and comedy and the pace at which news is processed into entertainment content, more than it already is. Of course, there is a brilliant team, managing the content, brainstorming for ideas, doing experiments and applying the tricks, but the thing that really packs the punch is the cast. The cast is what brings all the expressions and intellect to life in such a way that it doesn't lose its relativity and originality, and at the same time doesn't make any compromises on the comical value. The fact that there's a new actor or celebrity on set every night helps to take things more smoothly and gather people belonging to the celebrity's pool of fans around the table. And well, once you're hooked, there's no way you can return from there. Hence, this opening act from the surprise stars really gives a crucial chance to glue people to the screen with a promise of something good, if not the best, coming up after the break. The parody, as mentioned earlier, the Saturday Night Live focuses on mention-worthy events or news that made the headlines all day. This time the event happened to be the Rudy Giuliani and Melissa Carone's disastrous hearing regarding the Michigan state polling. The comedy skit had Kate McKinnon playing Rudy Giuliani, Trump's legal representative, while Melissa Carone, the newly infamous star witness for Trump, who was an IT consultant and volunteer responsible for troubleshooting the ballot machines at night after the polling, was played by Cecily Strong. What ensued? We'll get to that in a minute, but after the video of the testimony went viral and played on the television for some while, people started to spot an uncanny resemblance between the way Carone delivered her testimony and a comedy skit Cecily Stone did back in 2013 named, "Girl You Wish You Hadn't Started a Conversation With on Christmas." As you can imagine from the title of the skit, the girl you met on Christmas was so annoying that after you started a conversation with her, you really wished you didn't. And we can say pretty much the same thing regarding the Michigan hearing. Watching this parody of the court proceedings would in a wild sense be watching Stone do an impersonation of Carone doing an impersonation of Stone doing an impersonation of some girl you wish you hadn't started a conversation with on Christmas. But that's not it. The skit also showed Giuliani farting multiple times and blaming it on the women sitting in the adjacent chair, referring to the actual incident that happened during the hearing. Further in the skit we see some people coming one by one to testify following the testimony of Carone, to speak as witnesses regarding the rigging of polls but narrating ludicrous tales not related to the polls at all. One woman, whose information-containing document is misplaced by Giuliani, says that she ate the ballots because the polling offices brought them out of food trucks at lunchtime. This other man comes in with his pillow in a harsh and loud tone, addresses the court in somewhat of an advertisement of the very pillow he holds, of which he also tells himself to be the inventor. The next man to come in says that aliens abducted him and in their spaceship he saw them filling out absentee ballots for Biden. And when the state representative asks when all this happened, he replies, 7 years ago. The next witness is as Giuliani announces Nicole Kidman's character from Undoing, who tries to convince everyone of her husband's innocence of a murder. All this while Cecily Strong comes in and out only to say stupid things that don't make sense, along with many vocabulary errors due to being drunk, such as saying, I signed after David, instead of affidavit, and mixing up dominoes and dominion, asking for a free vote because it took more than 30 minutes. Somewhere in there the state representative dismisses two random shouting guys dressed in camouflages who are repeatedly saying that they can kidnap the governor given another chance. In the end Carone and Giuliani are both shown holding drinks. And the act ends with Giuliani saying, I would say the defense rests, but we will never rest. Not until this election is overturned. Or I get a full pardon and 10 million in cash. Opinion. The skit covered all the details of the news with its own unique touch, and that's the beauty of late-night television, especially when focusing on satire. They clearly reflect that the real life is as full of comedy as the next thing, and even the most serious of matters can have a shade of plain absurdity. This also highlights the brilliance of balanced content on television or any other media that reflects upon life as this multicolored portrait, with some colors being vibrant more than others at times, but all the while being there in the picture. This is why media and life reflect each other. We get media, that is a reflection of the society we live in, and that very media conditions our society either for the good or bad. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, like, comment if you haven't already. Meet you with the new video.